In college, I had access to the college darkroom, and for the first time, I really got to make pictures. I had a 35mm camera and develop them in the darkroom. And then I was lucky in my second year, I think it was, to be hired by the Richmond newspapers as a stringer. And they also would kindly critique my work. They would say, for example, that negative was a little bit thin, a little more exposure on that, or you might have done that picture a little differently. Very kind, but nice suggestions. So that was very helpful. So I remember it was 1978, and I asked my wife for a Christmas present. I wanted a Calumet view camera. After I was playing with my camera for a while, my wife said, "There's an envelope over there too you might want to look at." And it was the application to study with Ansel Adams, one of his workshops in Yosemite Valley in the summer of 1979. I went, it was 10 days in Yosemite Valley, and it was just wonderful. We learned a number of techniques and things to overexpose, underdevelop, a number of ways where you could stretch the zones, if you will, and the tones on the film and then on the paper. I sort of had come to the point where I realized Ansel Adams had this special place, and that's where his pictures were. And I had been to the Shenandoah National Park a lot, but hadn't really tried to make it my place, if you will. Then I decided, okay, I've gotten this information, I've got a 4x5 view camera, so I started going very regularly to the Shenandoah National Park, and I photographed there for the next 20-some years. Several of the pictures that are among my favorites I took just because I was there. One in particular it was a morning, it was cloudy, and I knew there might be good clouds sitting on top of the mountain. And it looked like the clouds were kind of moving or something was changing in front of me. It was foggy as a dickens, but things looked like they were changing a little bit. At about the time I hit the place where the Appalachian Trail crosses the Skyline Drive. So I pulled the car over and put my stuff on, and I said, I'll just walk along in the fog and see what happens. And I hadn't gone but several hundred yards before. It's a wonderful place where the trees are sort of over the trail, and the clouds were breaking up behind it. So that was a little dark, but behind it was this light. And so I set up and made that picture. And again, I didn't intend to go make that picture. I was trying to do the kind of thing that Ansel Adams did, and that is go walk around in this place that was very special to me and see what I could find. And I think it was 1987. I went up, I said, it's kind of clearing and the sky is going to be a nice blue and there's some nice clouds there, and I'll see what I can do. And I hadn't been on the drive very far before I saw at Baldface Mountain Overlook this silhouette of a tree, and the valley was well lit and the sky was blue with nice clouds, and I made that picture, and it's a nice picture. Interestingly, something about it looked familiar, and I looked through my negatives and I found that 7 years earlier I'd taken what I still think is a lovely picture of this tree when it was alive. Early on, after I'd been making pictures for 5, 6, or 7 years, I got a cardboard box, and I put book on the outside of it. And every time I got what I thought was a good picture, I put a copy of that picture in that box. And by 2002 or 2003, I thought I had a pretty good batch of pictures in that box. I had a friend who knew Eileen Mott, and I called up Eileen and I asked her if she would come look at my pictures and see if the Virginia Museum was interested in doing anything. She looked at my work and said, "We'd like to do a traveling exhibit." And it was wonderful for me as an artist. I think there are 20-some pictures in the total exhibit, from small ones, 8x10s, up to ones that are 30x40 in the frame. And I think it went 15 or 20 places, and it was wonderful. I get to go to those places and oftentimes give a talk, but I got to meet people, but people all over the state got to see my work because of Eileen Mott and the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts. And at the same time, I went to see the University of Virginia Press, said they're doing an exhibit of my work that's going to travel the state, and you need to do a book of my work. So in 2003, the exhibit from the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts started in Charlottesville at the same time that my book, Shenandoah Views of Our National Park, was published. So I was very lucky, and that really, my luck there starts with Eileen Mott and the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts for looking at my work, for sharing my work around the state, and giving me a good in when I went to the University of Virginia Press, and I could point to Virginia Museum of Fine Arts as a reason they ought to publish my work.